Will answer Ireland's call. Hey guys, what's the crack? It's me, remember? I'm Dan. I'm TYT Sports expert rugby union analyst. And yeah, you're goddamn right. I'm here to talk about the Rugby World Cup because I feel it's the TYT audience has been doing a gross disservice by not having day-to-day coverage on this. So basically, in Pool A was the pool of death, basically. It had some of the toughest and closest matchups of this World Cup. So basically, Australia topped the group. They got 4 wins out of 4, ended on 17 points with 1 bonus point. I'll get into the bonus points now in a sec after I finish this pool. So basically, Australia topped it. Wales came in second on 13 points. They only lost to Australia, which was a tough game, a tough game as well. But I think Australia deservedly topped that group. I thought they were dominant in all the games they played. And the biggest shock one of the biggest shocks, not the biggest shock, because there's more shocks to come. One of the biggest shocks of the tournament was England didn't qualify out of groups. They dropped out, and that was basically because of one game. It was the Wales versus England game, and sure, why not? We'll talk about that right now. So that was a couple of weeks ago. That was 2 weeks ago. England v Wales. It was in Twickenham. It was in the English home stadium. It was the biggest group of that pool. It was the biggest match of that pool so far, and England lost 28-25 to Wales. Wales won 28-25, and basically the biggest decision was England had a penalty chance in the dying seconds to level the game up, but their captain Chris Robshaw went for a try. Basically, he kicked for a line out and they tried to push on, but Wales were too good defensively that day and didn't let them through. And I think a lot of people give Chris Robshaw a lot of stick for that, but I think he made the right call under pressure. Like, it's okay saying in hindsight that just the way the pool panned out, that he should have went, like, a draw would have been a good result, but not a fear. You're the captain of your national team in your national team's home stadium. You have a chance to win the game, to go on to top the group. 100% you're taking that chance. I don't care what anybody says. It did spawn a load of cool memes on the internet. Basically, one of him doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where it just basically takes the piss out of him, where he should have took the penalty option, but that's neither here nor there. So England crashed out of the World Cup early on. Well, it was kind of, after that came, they needed a big result against Australia and they didn't get it. They lost 33-13. Australia won that game, so basically they dropped out. Fiji came fourth and Uruguay came fifth. An uninspiring World Cup for Uruguay. They didn't get any points on the board. Fiji and Uruguay, the minnows, that group, it's not, we won't touch on them mostly, but I think Fiji performed well in the games they played. So anyways, basically, before I move on to the other pools, I'll explain the bonus points rules. A lot of people who don't have any context, need some context in the Rugby World Cup. Bonus points are something that confused me at the start, and I'm just going to touch on them for a sec. Basically, what happens, if you want to gain a bonus point in a match, which will tally up in your final group standing, basically you have to score 4 tries or more, or lose by 7 points or less in a game if you play. So I'll give you some context. Australia had 1 bonus point. That's because they bet, I forget which team it was, but they might bet Fiji or Uruguay, or they might score 4 more tries against Fiji or Uruguay. So that means they get bonus point, adds up into their final points of the pool. So basically, bonus points were we'll touch on that. There was a bit of a controversy with the bonus points down in Pool C. Pool B, which we'll touch on right now. We'll go to Pool B. So basically, in Pool B, South Africa topped the group on 16 points with 3 wins and 1 loss. Scotland came second with 3 wins and 1 loss, but they didn't have as much bonus points as South Africa. Then it was followed by Japan on 12, Samoa on 6, and USA on 0. One of the biggest shocks, one of the best games of the World Cup of rugby union I have ever seen was 2 days into the World Cup when Japan played South Africa, and Japan bet South Africa. Guys, now, I don't have a reference. If I could try and relate that to any, it's like basically the Faroe Islands beating Spain in soccer. Or, I'm sorry, I can't get a better reference for you, but it was an unbelievable result. It was never happened, never should happen. I don't know how they managed, but Japan, it was unbelievable. The passion, the fight, and the spirit they showed. They ran over South Africa. Or they didn't run over them, but they more or less, they wanted it more, and South Africa were just completely. I think at the end of the day, it's a good result for South Africa, because at least South Africa then got the sense knocked into them at a very early on stage where they could push on now and they could build, they can be smarter in the games to come, especially in the later stages, the quarterfinals, etc. I think so. It was a good result, so they could take positives from that. I think Japan were very hardly done by to not progress on to the quarterfinals. And we'll talk about how one of the reasons why they didn't get through after we finished the recap the rest of the pools. So in Pool C, New Zealand topped on 19 points. Argentina came second with 15. Then followed by Georgia, Tonga, and Namibia. There's not much really. I think this is one of the most boring groups, or the most boring groups, even though it has been a boring World Cup. I think it's been one of the most uneventful groups because I think it kind of wrote itself. I couldn't really see. Georgia was the only other team. Georgia, maybe Tonga could have pushed for second, but with the form, I think Argentina's in good form. I think they will definitely trouble Ireland in the quarterfinals. But I think that group was kind of set in stone nearly from the beginning. New Zealand kind of ran away with it, and they've definitely proved that they're well up for it. And I can see them getting to the finals. So basically, yeah, Pool C. I'm sorry now if I'm not touching on it as more as I should. I should probably give more context to the viewers, but I think Pool C, I think with the likes of Georgia I think the games I saw from Pool C, it was kind of, it wasn't the best part of the World Cup. I think the less said in that group, the better. Now we're going to Pool D, which is my favourite pool because it was the pool my team was in. So basically, it was a great pool. It was, I think some of the good we had great matches in Pool D, especially being the one last Sunday, Ireland versus France, which was, I think, one of the biggest games of the World Cup so far. It was to prove who had who wanted. It shaped up the quarterfinals in my view, because whichever team won had the easier route to the semis. So basically, there was a lot riding on it, and I think France are a very good team, and I thought they could have had the beatings of Ireland going into it. But they just didn't show up. It was literally all Ireland. Ireland really showed that they wanted to do that, and they wanted to go to the semi-finals. I think they paid heavily in the price when Ireland lost their captain Paul O'Connell and a couple of key players, one through suspension and one through injury, and we're waiting on our fly half to see if he'll come back as well. Ireland finished top their group. France came second, Italy in third, followed by Romania and Canada. And yeah, so I think Ireland has already topped that group. They showed definitely in the France game that they were willing. It kind of looked shaky. They played Italy a week before the France game, and Italy definitely troubled Ireland. I thought with Sergio Parisse coming back into the Italian side, I thought he definitely made a difference. I thought they could have pushed on to win that game, but thankfully Ireland held out. So it's definitely Ireland has a direct route now to the semi-finals against Australia or Scotland if we do beat Argentina. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be chaos. But guys, so World Cup group stages have been unbelievable so far. Japan beating South Africa, the Ireland versus France game previous week, England versus Wales. I think even Scotland versus Samoa in Pool B was a crazy game. I think in the game Scotland versus Samoa, where Scotland won 36-33, there was an incident where two Scottish players tackled a Samoan player, and it was a tip tackle, so they dumped them over. And I think both those players should have been sin bin in that moment. And for all you Yanks out there, sin bin is when a player gets given a yellow card and has to sit over 10 minutes, so that team goes down to 14 men. In this case, it should have been 13. And if that would have happened, Samoa probably would have went on to win that game, which means Japan would have qualified out of the pool. So I think they were harshly done there. Not saying Scotland don't deserve it, but I thought for the neutral fan, I would have loved to have seen Japan go on to the quarters. Anyways, we're going to the Irish. And the Irish interest in this point. Basically, Sean O'Brien punched Pascal Pape in the chest in the game versus France, and he only received a 1-match suspension, which I'm going to sound like a traitor. He probably should have got suspended for more, possibly 3 weeks, I think. But anyways, thank fuck he didn't, and he's going to play against Argentina next week. On to the quarterfinals. Basically, Wales or South Africa. I'm going for Wales. Just because of my bias, I like Wales more. That being said, South Africa got their butterflies out in the first game, so they could easily go on to the finals, I think. But I'm going for Wales. Anyways, New Zealand versus France. New Zealand are going to go for the finals. I'm going to go on the record saying that. But that's not saying France couldn't beat them, but France didn't look great against Ireland, so I'm going for New Zealand that one. Ireland versus Argentina. Unequivocally Ireland, but that's not saying Argentina couldn't beat us. I think Argentina can be unreal on their day. Anyways, Australia versus Scotland. I think Australia, but Scotland, after missing the 2 players, Johnny Gray and Ross Ford, through that suspension I just mentioned a minute ago, ruled out for the entire World Cup. They're missing good players there, and I just don't think they have enough in the tank to beat them. But anyways, I'm gonna have to finish up now before my phone goes. If you like my video, I like ye. If you like me, I like ye. I love ye. So hopefully you love me. Anyways. Thanks for giving me the time, guys, and I'll catch you later. Hopefully I have enough video for the semi-finals, and hopefully they're going to be great. There's going to be no bad games these quarterfinals. So just keep that in mind. Anyways, chat you there, guys.